Yeah, I was 12 years old when I started, because I used to watch Crufts on television, and basically seeing the dogs doing the equipment on television just looked brilliant. It looked really good fun. So when I was 12, my parents let me have a puppy, and that was the first dog that I had. My parents didn't do agility, so I was the first one to start it, and that was 17 years ago. So I've been doing it ever since. Highlights, when I was younger, highlights were competing at Crufts and Olympia. And as I've got older and gone to, bigger and worldwide events, such as the World Championships or the European Open, those events were fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Such a buzz running at the major event. I think having done all of them, though, the biggest adrenaline rush is Olympia in London. And I think a lot of the British handlers will say that, simply because it is in London. You've got a crowd there who aren't actually all watching the dogs. They're there just to be entertained. It's Christmas time, and the commentators whip them up. They get them going really, really crazy. So when you get on the start line, it is insanely loud. You can't hardly hear yourself think. You can't hear the dog. The dog can't hear you. So you just run, and the courses are so big. You just run, and it's a real adrenaline rush. Olympia is brilliant. But also, some of my highlights are the judging appointments I've done. Judging at the WAO last year was brilliant. That was such a good event to judge at and to be a part of. And, working my way up from, a young judge into sort of more experienced judging opportunities in UK and abroad has been cool as well. So I've been lucky. I've done seen agility from all perspectives. I want to do really well. I just got back from the IFCS, actually. I competed in Spain 2 weekends ago, at the IFCS, and managed to get on the podium and get a silver medal. Scott had some fantastic runs at the event, so I want to go to the WAO, and I reckon I can do well. I enjoyed it last year judging it, and I saw the standard of the competition, and this year I want to go there and do well. So very excited about it. Which rule would I change? God, tough one. We have in England slightly different rules to the FCI rules with regard to course design and spacing. And in England, the distance between the obstacles, only jumping obstacles are actually measured. There can be a minimum of 3.8 meters in a straight line, but there's no maximum distance. So some of our courses in England are gigantic, but I don't mind a big gap, but a ridiculously big gap is really difficult, and you end up with some really crazy course designs. It is part of the fun, I don't want to see all the courses the same, but I think that's one thing that English rules, British Kennel Club rules could be improved on. And as for judging more generally, I think, if I'm honest, I think up contacts would be something I'd probably get rid of, and that's kind of why I like the WAO, because we actually had a joke at the judges' meeting in the WAO last year, and between Greg and myself and the other judges, when we said we don't discriminate against stride, as in some larger dogs, and we're talking big striding dogs, perhaps Malinois or German Shepherd dogs, big dogs like that. going quite safely onto the dog walk, for example, or onto the seesaw. They're quite safe, but they're striding over the up contact. And what that forces people to do is to train it. And I've actually been judging when I've seen dogs power on to the up contact and then start going up. And that's not nice to watch. It's really quite tough for the dog. So I think that's something that could be phased out. I think agility has developed where the up contact for safety is probably outdated now, to be honest. Oh, absolutely. I remember when I ran at my first competition, and then when I ran at my first final, and when I ran at my first major event, and you know, and each time you gain experience, and I think you know, it's a bit of a cliche, but if you're good to your dog and if you praise your dog, whether you get caught up in the emotion of winning or losing, I have the greatest respect for handlers that can take losing well and they're good to their dogs, but also being a good sportsman and congratulating your fellow competitors, you know, both when they win and when you win, taking, you know, being a good sport and actually conducting yourself in the right way. That's what I've learned. Obviously, when I was younger and I started as a kid, you know, your attitudes are slightly different. But I think it's really good if you can conduct yourself, you know, in a good sporting way. Be good to your dog and enjoy it. You know, embrace the opportunity to work with your dog. Unfortunately, you never know what's around the corner, and you know, I've known some really nice agility handlers and good dogs who their careers have been cut short for various reasons. So you know, enjoy today. Don't worry too much about tomorrow's run. Yeah, the biggest point I try and get across in my seminars is when people are training, they're training at this level and everything is on this level. When they go to competition, the bar is raised, and it's often because of the handler. The handler conveys things differently, or they don't react in the same way. Their expectations are different, and you end up, you know, with these two levels, and I think you've got to try and get the balance so that you and yourself, you don't change between training and the show. It's very little different if possible. Make sure that you're actually working in the same mindset. In England, sometimes happens where training, you kind of go through the motions, you just go through, you practice what you're good at, and then you go to the competition, and it's very different. So I believe in practicing a variety of skills. One other tip as well, and that is that it's not always beneficial to set up a full course and just train a full course. Training a skill or identifying a certain skill, whether it be weave entry or discrimination skills or a turning skill, practice a few skills and then contextualize it within a course. Don't just set up a course plan and try and do that, because what your mindset will be is to run a full course without identifying the individual skills. So I think that's quite important as well, and I've learned to do that over the years as well.
Yeah.
I'm really keen on sport, and I play football. I get a little bit of time off each week to get away from agility, and I play football, and I really enjoy that. It keeps me really fit, but it also has the team ethic as well. You can't be an individual in football. You know, you've got to be a part of a team, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the team side of things and the team spirit, and actually the banter between the friends within the team, you know, and that's really good. Things that make me sad, not too much. I'm a pretty positive person. Maybe the British weather sometimes. The British weather could be better, you know, when we have all our shows cancelled in the summer because of the rain, and then we get excessive amounts of snow in April, for example, you know. And one thing that really is a bit of a downer on my seminars, when I fly to a country and I can't get a decent cup of English tea, that's bad news. So I have to be able to get my tea. I've got a busy calendar actually. Obviously the WAO is the next major thing. The weekend just gone, we've had our European Open selection, and we find out in a few days whether we've been selected or not. I'm going to Fiona Cup in Denmark this summer, which will be good to compete there. I've got the Kennel Club Festival and many shows in England. Later on in the year, I've got a training trip where I'm going to go and teach in Israel. So that's going to be a really interesting experience. Quite, don't know what to expect, and had to think before I actually said I was going to go, but that should be interesting. And I'm also hopefully going to go to South Africa, not to compete because we don't want to take our dogs to South Africa, but I've been there a couple of times before and taught, and it's fantastic. It's a great country. So I'm hoping to actually go and to watch the World Championships and to maybe do some seminars while I'm there as well. So yeah, some nice trips and lots of competition, and yeah, trying to do well.
Sure.